The weather is going to be great across the day this morning. Don't take my word for it. But, well, yesterday we had, let me see, tiny showers in some places. But across board, it was a really, really hot day. But today looks like temperature will be cloudy. Well, actually, the weather will be cloudy with a bit of sun, or some sun with some cloud, actually, at about 35 degrees. And of course, it looks like, it will be mostly cloudy in Ibadan today. It doesn't look like there's going to be any rain, but not to say you shouldn't prepare by taking your umbrella, raincoat, whatever it is, to definitely help you in case you're caught unawares this morning. But it looks like it's going to be a really good day, and we hope that as the weather looks like it's going to be really good, that our day will be good as well. Welcome. It's time for Straight from the Dailies. We'll be looking at the stories making headlines in Nigerian newspapers. And of course, I want to say, don't forget to follow us across all of our major social media platforms. You can follow us on Facebook, where you can actually watch me live. That's right, I'm live on Facebook. So do follow us and leave a comment right underneath the video. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/Splash FM 105.5. That's facebook.com/Splash FM 105.5. We're also on Twitter. We'll be taking your reactions and comments there, actually. So do follow us on Twitter at Splash FM 1055. Then also Instagram at Splash FM 1055, where we can see great content from us this morning. Don't forget YouTube, also at Splash FM 1055. So today on the show, which is for about 30 minutes or thereabout, I'll be taking your reactions and comments to the stories making headlines. I'll be bringing you news stories from major newspapers in Nigeria, and of course the stories that have made hot topics in the newspapers today. I'm joined by Barrister Yomi Ogunlola this morning on the show, and he'll be sharing his thoughts and his contributions. Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning, Nigeria.
It's good to have you here today. How are you?
Good to be with you.
Awesome. All right, so I'm sure Plato will join us any moment. But in the meantime, let's race through headlines. From the Vanguard newspaper this morning, terrorism tag, what I know about Bantami. This is coming from one of his aides. We'll be back to take that story. But let's run through some more headlines this morning. Buhari receives briefings from Oshibaju. That's in the Vanguard newspaper. Hoodlums raise Uzo Akoli police station in Abia State. And also, I'm not sure how many people saw the viral video of the Lagos Ikorodu students who were smoking shisha. There's news with regards to that in the papers as Lagos wades in, orders rehabilitation of pupils. And I saw in another headlines that they have been suspended. The school has suspended the girls. All right, let's move to the Punch newspaper, where there are more headlines in the papers. Ekiti Monarchs abductors demand 20 million ransom, anxiety grips family. Also in the papers this morning, fuel subsidy rises to 500 billion naira. NNPC rules out price hike. I know in some other papers as well, it just simply says that there will be no price hike or petrol price hike in May. All right, it feels like there's going to be an announcement every month, but we'll get to that. Before we do, though, more headlines from the Punch newspaper. Federal government admits revenues crashing, says Nigeria faces hard times. That's in papers this morning. And on Jusun disagrees as NGF fixes May date. That's with regards to financial autonomy. Let's move real quickly to the Tribune newspaper. We'll bring you more headlines. Here's a COVID-19 update. In Nigeria, 17 new COVID-19 infections recorded. Also in the papers this morning on COVID-19, global COVID-19 death toll surpasses 3 million. So bear in mind that COVID-19 is still out there. I know that there's been events, people are still going about, but please continue to mask up, continue to stay safe, and of course make sure you social distance even if you have to attend an event. All right, also in the papers this morning from the Tribune newspaper, also 9 Nigerians suspected to be inmates who escaped from Owerri prison. This is also arrested after arriving by boat in Ghana. All right. Okay, so there's no hiding place for, certain people. All right, so I welcome you once again. Like I said, we'll be taking your reactions and comments. I'd love to hear from you this morning. I'd love to hear your thoughts and contributions. Obviously, everyone's still talking about the Bantami issue, Bantami Gate. And at 8 o'clock, we're also going to be going beyond the surface of that. I know Charity did a bit about that yesterday, but it's a bit more that we're going to, it's like an onion, and we're going to do a bit more uncovering at 8 o'clock on Beyond the Surface, where I'll be talking to a guest as well. But in the papers this morning, Barrister, his aide, I guess, is speaking up. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ali Bantami, has been in the eyes of the storm for the past 1 week over the allegation that he has links with terrorist groups. This followed a newspaper report by one of the Nigerian dailies on the 12th of April, in which it alleged that the minister had shown support for Abu Qatar, the Al-Falasimi and Al-Qaeda and Boko Haram, which made US place him on the intelligence watch list. According to the report, the minister had in some of his past statements, which were captured in video on YouTube, established his support for the terrorist groups, which qualified him to be on the watch list. But in a swift reaction, the minister, through an interview, denied having any link with terrorists as alleged in media reports. Now, the minister, while reacting to the widespread reports, said he has been preaching against the doctrines of Boko Haram and similar groups, endangering his life in the process. The minister, in another occasion, maintained that he does not hold extremist views nor support Boko Haram. Now, that is the backstory. One of Nigeria's leading Islamic rights group, Muslim Rights Concern, MURIC, had also come out to defend the minister, describing the report as fake news. Let me move all the way. Meanwhile, Nigerians have seen then called for the sack of the minister, or he resigns from his office, claiming that he needed to clear his name from the weighty allegation, considering the sensitive position he currently occupies. However, one of his aides, Mr. Yusuf Abubakar, holds different view about the minister. Contrary to a report, he told Vanguard in a chat that he was shocked to read some of the allegations raised against the minister, which did not portray the true picture of who the minister is. According to him, the media comments and attacks against the minister were concocted mostly by people who do not know him, and that's the narrative that we found out there. People saying that those who are attacking the minister are people maybe who were affected by his name policy or some of the policies since he became a minister, and that obviously this is a political game of witch hunting, etc. So we see that they are going to every length to get PR done for the minister. But what are your thoughts on? Or is it about what an individual says he knows about a person, or what the papers, what the facts they are saying that this person's about?
Yes, you see, I read one of those views from one who claims to be a friend to Bantami, and that is Farouk Berogi. I read this paper,
wow.
but when I read it, I felt it was really touching on our sensibilities. It was taking us for granted, for doing that. But having said that, you see, Ronke, a lot is happening here. The youths feel very angry. The youths feel alienated, and they feel disenfranchised. I believe Bantami that all that he did when he was still young.
Okay.
There is no doubt about it that he did that. I think what the youths of today have to learn from what is happening to Bantami is whatever it is we are going to do, we should not throw away our brains. You see, the old should see the young arising and surpassing them. But here, our youths are being subjugated. And what do you get? The young is revolting, latching onto the warped and corrupted template of the old to chart a familiar but more lethal course for themselves.
Right.
One can only imagine what the future portends. So, Bantami is one of those victims. Right. We agree that it could have been that exuberance of the youth.
Right. Okay.
I mean, there's so much activism going on here too. A lot of people are angry with government. A lot of people are angry with the system. Okay. You can see the so-called secessionists, everybody is coming out.
Right.
But what we are saying is, if you now find yourself in such a position to hold that kind of office you are holding, is
way
is,
too delicate.
I
mean, after you are saying Bantami, obviously you're talking about youthful exuberance. Bantami is 48 years old, was born in 1972.
Yes.
And one of the audios that were heard of him, being, sort of, let me see, how do I say, saying things for Boko Haram or thereabout, was when he was 33. Plato, do you think that at 33, somebody is perhaps, would you still say youthful exuberance, 33 to 48? Would a leopard have changed his spot? Would you say?
I take serious exceptions to the position of barrister on the youthful exuberance.
Okay.
For a man who is 33 and who is as lettered as Bantami, it means that he has obviously gone through the rigors of being ideologized, and of course he wasn't, or he shouldn't have just maybe taken a literature and then begin to run around town with it. Bantami does not come across as someone who is like that. However, there is always a point, even in scholarship, that you may experience an epiphany. Even in when we talk about writers, you talk about philosophers like Hegel. You talk about a later Hegel when he started disproving some of the things he had said earlier. That always happened. But whether we like it or not, everyone will bear the consequences of their actions, whether you have done it.
So what part of what I said are you?
I don't agree that it's an exuberance. It's not an exuberance. Not at all. It's not. In fact, I don't think it was a matter of exuberance. Now, we know that majorly in the north, this has always been a problem. This whole idea of extremism, this whole idea of fanaticism, and it's not the only one. We know, for instance, that the likes of Sheikh Gumi, we've talked about Sheikh Gumi, then it means that we could also excuse Sheikh Gumi and possibly say that because when Gumi did that too, he was just in his, almost in his 40s.
Have we not excused Gumi?
I have not excused Gumi.
The only thing we're saying here is, if you are one of those people, if you have held such view before, then please stay away from governmental position, because Nigeria is not a Muslim state, it is not a Christian state, it is a secular state. So if you are that biased, I mean, you cannot be seen to be holding office, especially at the federal level.
Right. I mean, because especially during this time, because they're very delicate times, the insecurity we're having to grapple with is not something, it's already causing a lot of anxiety. And talking about insecurity, in the Tribune newspaper, there's no respite for Nigerians over the scary security challenge, as 70% of the illegal firearms in the sub-region are circulating in the country. Senator representing Kaduna Central Uba Sani gave the startling revelation on Monday in Abuja at the public hearing organized by the Senate Joint Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, Navy and Marine Transport on the Firearms Act 2004 Bill 2021 and Exclusive Economic Zones Act 2010. The objective of the proposed amendments to firearms is to curtail the proliferation of illegal arms and bring the existing law in line with global best practices. Citing statistics from the United Nations Regional Center for Peace and Disarmament in Africa, Senator Sani, who is the sponsor of the firearms bill, disclosed that out of 500 million illegal weapons circulating in West Africa, 350 million, which represents 70%, are domiciled in Nigeria. Plato, what do you make of this? And I mean, where do we go from here?
It's just funny that they're just waking up. A report like this has been on since 2012, 2014. In fact, since the crisis in Libya, there has always been this call by, international firearms societies and, of course, concerned security agencies across the world that Nigeria will be the hub of the catchment of firearms that will be a fallout of the Libyan crisis. In fact, they were particular about Nigeria and Mali. And so I expected that any sane government, any responsible government would have taken necessary precautions. You see, the condition and the state in which we find ourselves now is something that could have been avoided long ago. But what did we do? We decided to take it for granted. Yes, we had pockets of insecurity on our ends, but then we decided to take it for granted. Right. We did almost nothing. That was a time when we could have, beefed up our border system. We didn't do anything. We had our porous borders, and of course, arms were moved in. Now, I know that some people have said, oh, but of course, there are some arms that are moved in by the port. But most of these arms are moved in. If you go and look at, I was in a part of a webinar that, a counter-extremism project webinar that was talking about movements of arms across Africa. And you see that most of those arms are moved in through the illegal routes. And Nigeria has so many of them. In fact, when you see them moving them through our neighboring countries, yes, the promises they give them is, see, your country is not a stop spot. And of course, a lot of them turn a blind eye when they know that their country is not a stop spot. So they follow the arms route to Nigerian borders. And because we have our own borders being porous, it easily comes in.
So where do we move on from here? Obviously, it looks like our government is a bit as lacking control with regards to this. But aren't there people, for example, the borders, aren't there people that can easily be fingered and seen to be allowing, such things, even if the borders are that porous? Aren't there people who are supposed to, be in control, who you can actually hold responsible? Why does it feel like nobody can be held responsible?
You see, the shiftless policies of government.
The shift what?
The shiftless policies, yes, of government has gotten us into a lot of problem. Quite a lot of problem.
Okay.
Now, you can see that just as you sink your borehole to make your own water, as you buy your generator to make your light, as you pour sand, gravel on the road to make your own way.
You're vigilante to secure yourself.
The same way everybody is trying to make their own money. Government appears to have collapsed completely. Go to the police station. How many times? You saw the 12-point agenda of the new IGP. The 12-point agenda has come out. But go and see what the police are doing. The very number one, that he is going to take the policemen off the roads. They are so-called illegal toll collection centers. Right. Go and see them there now. They are still there. And that is, if number one fails, how can we be waiting for the 11 others? We know they will all fail. So what I am saying, in essence, is Nigerians are having to devise ways and means of making their money wherever they find themselves. The civil servants is cutting corners to make money. NNPC, that one, just don't go there. Everywhere you go that there is government presence, people are cutting corners, making their money, and nobody's doing anything. We talked about Bantami now. I said something here yesterday about a student who died as a result of the recklessness of Bantami. Although there was a little error yesterday when I said it was Mamadou Bello University. It is Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University in Bauchi. But somebody died, and there was nothing. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. This is what we are still getting everywhere. You have borders, government says, okay, close borders, but people are making money out of it. Go to the passport offices and see what is happening. Now that there is scarcity of booklets, go and see what is happening there. People are cutting corners and they are making money. If they bring 5,000 booklets for them now, and people are already on the queue, maybe about 15,000. They will start selecting those who will get passports. So that means you must bring extra money. You see, if the country continues to run this way, there is no way out. And that's why you are seeing people now who are saying, look, it appears Nigeria is unwieldy. We cannot continue to manage it from Abuja any longer. Let us try and make better arrangements for ourselves. People are talking about restructuring, and now people are declaring republics. These are the reasons. And rather than go after the reasons, our government is still chasing shadows. This is a time for all of us to come together and say, look at what is happening in Ghana. Look at what is happening in Ghana. Look at what is happening all around us. And now a giant has become a dwarf. And we still don't see any need for us to sit down and find a way to resolve this problem. Are we not thinking of tomorrow for our children?
It's really ridiculous. And obviously, I was reading somewhere in that news story also about how, you mentioned how our laws really need to be stronger, need to be more assertive. It just feels like there are laws from, I think one of the laws says, if anybody found guilty of, would only be charged 1,000 naira.
Ronke.
1,000 naira.
I think even beyond the firearms, law, the question is, how do we track movement of firearms through illegal borders? In the north alone, there are about 300 or more illegal entry into Nigeria. Now, if these are not manned, some of us have said this long ago, that the world has moved beyond having personnel manned borders. Borders are now largely manned with, technology, using technology.
Exactly.
So you can man a stretch of, a stretch of kilometers, a stretch of miles using your drone without necessarily, and it will capture movements of persons. Now, just 2 years ago, a particular illegal arms dealer was caught, and then he was said to have moved his goods in, coming in from France. He did not even come in, so he came in through one of the West African countries, got to the Nigerian border, and it was intercepted. Now you can imagine how many others. I think I was reading a piece by I am not sure, I think it's Kayode Ogundamisi, who was talking about his research about illegal arms entry into Nigeria, and how he met a particular illegal arms dealer who told him that these arms are not meant for Nigeria. But the actual point was that the arms were coming straight to Nigeria. Now there are a lot of things to. Have you asked yourself, how does ESN, for instance, get their arms? Don't forget that they're not using ding guns. How do the bandits get their arms? How do, so you can begin to mention others.
You see,
how do they get arms?
You see, the extra...
Why is it so easy? Why is it...
Extra mundane approaches of government to resolving crisis is sinking us deeper and deeper into the hole. The president came out the other time. Those who have licenses, for firearms, you said they should withdraw all of their guns. And now, are the licensed gun owners the problem in Nigeria? Rather than face where the real problem is, we chase shadows in this country.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing also is that even licensed firearms owner, what kind of firearms do they carry?
You are
a lot of times are just more arms.
And also, can we also...
Exactly.
There's more arms.
Double barrel, single barrel.
So,
what
are you going to compare that with an AK-47 and MP5?
Can you imagine that?
So, you now begin to ask yourself, if you say that, okay, those with licensed firearms should be mopped up, no problem about that. But the major thing is, are these what are used? Have we ever gotten any of these major criminal scenes? And then we see that it is these small arms that are used in perpetrating the crime.
Let me even come in again, Plateau. Look at what is happening. There was an incident somewhere in the north involving a politician, The hoodlums had gone to attack him in his house. And the man came out with his ammunition and started firing. And then I asked myself, is it true that it is two sets of laws that are applicable in this country? Because I submitted my firearm. They have collected my own firearm, and they have collected the firearms. Why is that politician still having the firearm?
Maybe there was a window for you.
Why? You see, it is unfortunate. Rather than build our country from its ruins, those who have been saddled with leadership have rather plundered whatever is left of the ruins. And that's the problem we're having in this country.
Barrister, you're not a politician. So apparently there could also, what I'm pointing out is there could also be politicians here who have also not submitted their firearms. Because Barrister...
that's double standards. Because
we're not even triple standards. Because we know that that seems to define us in this country.
Can you imagine?
Because you have to think also that yesterday there was news of about 400 businessmen reportedly arrested for allegedly funding funding Boko Haram insurgents and bandits.
Exactly.
So who are the people that are funding?
Ronke,
People that are this? How is it that at this point we don't have intelligence enough to know?
Well, it's easier
Are
to.
they ghosts?
It's actually a gold mine to deal with firearms. That's the truth.
Ronke, God bless you for that. You see, that is why we are now saying this country is regressing, and there is the need to halt this regression. We need to look at. Just recently, there was, zonal party congresses are being held, all right, between both the PDP and APC. One would have thought that with our experiences, government would have taken some bold steps to stop this kind of criminality of using, these miscreants, these thugs and what have you. But what did we see? We actually saw video footages of thugs going to some of, I think I read somewhere yesterday, APC meeting that held, I don't know, I can't remember exactly where now, was disrupted by violence. Now, something happened. My old school, Baptist Academy, we were to elect our officers for the new year. And then a platform was created. The contestants campaigned virtually. You watched them on your phones, on your computers, and what have you.
Yes.
And the election proper was conducted online. We completed everything.
Marisa, you are talking about your old school. Even university students hold elections virtually.
But that's what I'm saying. So because we know where the problems are.
Right.
These
But
politicians
someone is not committed to making those changes because
Exactly.
it will not favor them.
Way back
It's easier for them to
2009,
get
university
thugs
students
and
have been holding elections virtually, electronically.
Why can't we do that?
All right.
But these are the politicians who are bringing in these weapons through the borders, arming their militia. You can imagine when all of these facts came out. We owned in Kwara State militia that were armed.
In Imo State.
In Imo State, in Lagos State.
All right.
Everywhere you go.
We have to take a short commercial break now. When we come back, it's still straight from the dailies. We've got a couple more stories if we have time, but of course we have to open phone lines as well. So we'll see where the pendulum swings after we return. Don't go away.
That King's my dream, no. That King's my dream.
Do you know you can bake a cake for as little as 1,000 naira? You don't believe? With new Devon King's margarine. Enjoy yummy, buttery taste and softer, fluffier texture on all your cakes and pastries with new Devon King's margarine.
That King's my dream, no.
The BBC News World Service app makes listening to your favorite programs on your phone even easier. And for times when you can't use Wi-Fi or data to listen, just hit the call to listen button in the middle of the screen.
This is the BBC World Service.
Call to listen is only available in selected territories. For dial-up news services, standard geographic mobile charges will apply. Please check with your provider for exact cost before calling. Download the BBC News World Service app from your usual store.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni o, Panadol Extra náà ni Panadol Extra. Ó tún ti ń bẹ báyìí nínú ìdè kékeré oníkápẹ́lẹ̀tì mẹ́rin láàdọ́ta náírà péré. Panadol Extra kẹ́nẹ́ ni Panadol Extra mú tura bẹ́ fọ́rí ìrora ẹ̀yìn ìròyìn tí ìbá ṣe Panadol kò lè jẹ́ bí Panadol. Tá ìpadà ò bá sí lẹ́yìn ọjọ́ méjì lọ rí dókítà. Panadol Extra ní paracetamol àti caffeine nínú kò sí fáláboyún àtàwọn ọmọdé tọ́jú orí wọn kéré sọ́dún 12.
If you don't know the transfer news, you might tell your friends your team has the top striker.
What are you talking about?
If you tell your friends your team has the top striker, they might loudly disagree. If they loudly disagree, the whole viewing center might get involved. If the whole viewing center gets involved, you might lose the argument. If you lose the argument, you might kick the floor in frustration. Before things get out of hand, settle it with Google Search. Get the latest football news, live scores, transfers, probabilities, and so much more on your Google app.
Yellow, ìkéde pàtàkì lélẹ́yìí o fún ẹ̀yin oníbàárà wa ọ̀wọ́n.
ní ìbámu pẹ̀lú àṣẹ láti NCC. Iléeṣẹ́ MTN yóò máa so nọ́mbà ìdánimọ̀ yín, ìyẹn National Identification Number NIN, pẹ̀lú àwọn àkọsílẹ̀ síìmù tẹ́ ti pèsè tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀. Kó lè rọ̀ yín lọ́rùn, ọ̀nà méjì tí ò laniláàgùn rèé o láti ṣe. Ìkíní, wọnú My MTN app lọ. Ìkejì, tẹ *785*NIN#. Tí o kò bá ní nọ́mbà ìdánimọ̀ NIN, lọ sí www.nimc.gov.ng láti ṣàwárí ojúde ìforúkọsílẹ̀ tó súnmọ́ jùlọ. Àmọ́ tó o bá ti forúkọsílẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n tí o kò rántí NIN rẹ, tẹ *346# pẹ̀lú nọ́mbà tó fi sílẹ̀ nígbà tó ń ṣe ìforúkọsílẹ̀. A kò fẹ́ láti já ọ kúrò lórí ìlà MTN o. Ẹ ṣeun fún sùúrù àti ìfọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ yín èyí tí à ń retí.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Khalif, ṣé kọ́ọ̀pù bọ́ọ̀mìtà kan ṣoṣo tó kù nìyẹn ni? Bẹ́ẹ̀ni. Ó yá gbà, ó lè mú. Ó tì ó, ìwọ mú. Rárá, ní kò gbà. Ìwọ mú sí.
Ẹ̀yin méjèèjì lẹ máa rí mu nítorí wọ́n ti pò èyí tó máa tó gbogbo ilé. Tá a bá túbọ̀ fìfẹ́ hàn síra wa, bẹ́ẹ̀ la ṣe ń tan ẹ̀mí ìṣọ̀kan tó wà nínú oṣù Ramadan pẹ̀lú àfikún ìdámẹ́wàá nínú ìdí Cadbury Bonvita ọlọ́gọ́rùn-ún 5 gíráàmù. Ìṣọ̀kan náà túbọ̀ ń pọ̀ sí ni. Ramadan Kareem.
Since I switched to Mamadou 100% pure cooking oil, family meal times have been so rewarding. You see, Mamadou 100% pure cooking oil is cholesterol-free and contains omega-6 and 9, proven to keep heart healthy. Not only that, it also makes my food taste delicious.
You sure know how to take care of my stomach.
And your heart, especially. Switch to Mamadou and enjoy healthy and tasty meals. Mamadou is tested and approved by the Nigerian Heart Foundation. Cook with Mamadou. Your heart will thank you.
Àǹfààní amóríyá mi ló tún ṣẹlẹ̀ nínú ìpolongo oríire ti Samsung lákòókò Easter yìí o. Ra èyíkéyìí nínú àwọn S21 series wa kó o lè gba káàdì owó ìrajà sílẹ̀ èyí tó tó 45,000 naira. Gbọ̀hún ìdáàbòbò fóònù rẹ bó o ti ń rà nínú àwọn àṣàyàn Samsung Galaxy A72, A52 àti A32 wa. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bùn owó tó tó bí 25,000 naira padà nínú owó A71, A51 àti A31 pẹ̀lú 3,000 naira owó ìpè lórí àwọn àṣàyàn ẹ̀rọ Samsung Galaxy tó o bá rà. Àǹfààní yìí ṣì ń bẹ títí tọ́jọ́ ó fi tánlẹ̀. Ìlànà àti àjọsọ ń bẹ o.
Now, where's that big malt? Today was just one of those days. You know, woke up by 5, made breakfast, went to work, did my job, then my oga's work, then oga's work, came home, made dinner, and now nothing can stop me from enjoying my rich, smooth, refreshing Dubic malt.
Enjoy the silky smooth taste of Dubic malt. Dubic malt, crown the moment. Splash FM 105.5.
Welcome back. It is still straight from the dailies where we're looking at the stories making headlines in Nigerian newspapers today. In the Punch newspaper, real quickly, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, on Monday admitted that Nigeria's economy was facing a difficult time, saying states must improve their internally generated revenues. Ahmed, who stated this in an interview on a daily breakfast show on the Nigerian Television Authority, Good Morning Nigeria, stated that the money shared at the March Federation Account Allocation Committee meeting was short of 50 billion naira. The minister was speaking on a controversy generated by a claim by the Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki that the Central Bank of Nigeria printed 60 billion naira in March to augment the money shared at March FAAC. But the minister and the CBN governor last week dismissed Obaseki's claim. In the interview on the NTA on Monday, the finance minister stated the country's economy was stabilizing from the recession, which the country exited a few months ago. She, however, added these are very difficult, challenging times because revenues are low and the demand for expenditures are very high, understandably because we have to keep intervening to make sure the pandemic is contained as well as the economic impact it has caused. I mean, at least they are coming out to admit that, you know, because oftentimes it feels like there's a disconnect. People who are only suffering hard times are the people, really, but our political elites suffering hard times. Are they having to deal with this as well? And they've talked about internally generated revenue among states as well. What do you make of this?
You see, Ronke, you can what happened in the last couple of days relating to, the revelations from the governor of Edo State just shows you how disconnected this government is with its agencies. when Obaseki came out and said this,
yes,
the finance minister was singing Fuji music, all right, and then Emefiele too started singing reggae. But thank God that everything is coming back to Fela Anikulapo Kuti's song now. They all appear to have agreed. You see, the problem we're having...
They have?
Well, at least everybody now agrees that, okay, digital money was printed. Sure, you understand? Well, there appears now that the controversy surrounding whether it was printed or not.
Digital money,
really?
Yes, yeah. Digital money. That's what you call quantitative easing. It's called digital money because it's not real cash, But okay, now the issue is this.
Okay.
It is not a bad thing for a government to print money. Of course, the general knowledge has always been that if government prints money faster than the growth of real output, it reduces the value of money. And this invariably causes inflation. That's the general knowledge. But we have seen some countries apply it. Recently, what America did. It was digital money that America printed to battle, the problems of COVID-19. Although a lot of people are still, contesting whether or not that was the right thing for America to have done.
Right.
But a very good example we have is the stagflation that happened in Japan. And this is how quantitative easing is best used. Where there is an inelastic supply, no matter how demand falls, price will refuse to change. Because problems with supply, with manufacturers, probably high cost and what have you, whatever they produce, they will just put their price there. If you like, buy. If you like, don't buy. You would have heard a lot of people say, look, I'll just leave it there. So, when you come with quantitative easing, the intention is to stimulate demand, and not only that, to increase the velocity of circulation so that the suppliers can shift their position. When there is such money in the economy, there is the tendency to attract more people into the supply chain, and of course, it can balance the economy, But many times, it is applied when a country is in a recession. All right?
Yes.
When there's deflation and all the rest of the stuff.
Okay.
The question a lot of people are asking now is this. They came and they told us that recession was over. We were out of recession. So why quantitative easing? Okay. Why are we printing more money again?
Right. I don't know if
there's
any way the finance minister sort of agreed that they printed money, but what they're saying that they borrowed money.
I was just going to say that.
No, Emefiele agreed. It's not the finance minister.
And it wasn't even in relation to the issue of quantitative easing and, of course, the market analysis the barrister just did. It was not in relation to what was shared at Federation accounts, at the Federation, into the Federation account as, claimed by Obaseki. Right. However, I think it's also important to say this. And, that's the thing I keep asking people. In fact, exactly today, last year, a barrel of oil was sold for $15, and by evening it was sold for $1. Nigeria did not think of printing money. I do not think there is any sense at this moment now to say because of what we want to share to state governors. Exactly. Now, it does not make any sense to now say that you're doing money printing. Now, coming to the issue of IGR that the finance minister raised, it's a no-brainer that any state government that wants to survive will need to improve on its IGR. It's quite appalling that a lot of states, except for Lagos State that has made that has over 400 billion from IGR for 2020, a good number of states made less than, even Kano made about 30 billion from IGR for all fiscal year, which tells you that they were only within the radius of 3 billion per month. Oyo State was able to up its own to about 50 billion, within the range of 50 billion, no, not up to 50 billion. I think it was Ogun State that had about 50 billion. Now the question we keep asking ourselves is this: what is the payroll like? How do you then intend to do other things in government? We've seen how state governments have been going about borrowing, just because they want to meet them. Does this mean that we don't have ways or things we can explore and exploit to raise and generate revenue. I'll keep saying this. Or just say, for instance, and I know that people will feel that, I have said this before this administration came on board, that the transportation sector alone in Oyo State can generate nothing less than 2 billion monthly. Now, yes, 2 billion monthly. And I remember that I've done the analysis here over and over. But where does the money go to now? Park managers who now manage the park and the monies. Now the question is, who is going to lose? Government.
You see, one area that I think government should go back to, we have been screaming this for so long.
Right.
Government must try as much as possible to cut governmental costs. You understand?
They won't hear that
up till tomorrow now, our members of the National Assembly are still receiving their jumbo pay. Not only that, go and see their convoy.
Barrister, the government is receiving is also receiving security votes.
All of those things. That's exactly because look, what the fear now,
right?
Ronke, the fear now. Nigerians should get ready. They should go and wear their respective armor. Very soon, what you will start hearing in the papers is layoffs. They are going to start laying people off. They are going to start laying people
around
off.
the corner. It will be difficult.
You can say that.
You remember that I said this sometime in 2019.
We are inside it now.
That they were going to lay off. Even 2019 was worse. Now what they are doing is just a patch up.
Right.
Because a lot of them,
if they are already printing money,
you may begin to see layoffs after 2023.
Let's go to the phone lines real quickly. I've got a few text messages here. Let me start from here. Okay, good morning. The issue of porous border brings me to the issue of customs going to break people's shop in the night for foreign rice instead of customs controller being sanctioned for porous borders that contributes to insecurity in the country. We're busy chasing shadows. If we're waiting for things to enter the country and going after them, we're not serious as a country. Prevention is better than cure. Charles Somiano Church.
You can even go after rice. You can't go after arms.
Yep, exactly. True. All right. So Abu Kasimu says, good morning to all of you. The barrister said we should think about the future of our children by coming together. He's right with this analysis. Due to what is happening in Nigeria today, the future matters the most. He said Plateau is right with his analysis about banditry. Where do they get their ammunition despite border closure? It is questionable. Raji Afiza Biremi on Twitter says, on the issue of Bantami, the issue I learned from this story is that youths of today should think about future because you don't know where we can find ourselves tomorrow. Antecedents speak volume. All right. This text from Kewule Zinwa Bweze Namdi says, Bantami has no more right to threaten or give any deadline on NIN registration when he's clearly the real threat to national security. He should just resign or get sacked. All right, all right, let me go to the message portal as well. Let's go. There's someone here. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Onafuwa.
Good morning, Chigozie.
Yeah, good morning.
All right, go ahead.
Good morning, Barrister. Good morning. Yeah. On Bantami, yesterday he was saying that he was too young when he made such those statements. Now he has grown. He's an old man now. I want to ask, since he grew, since he became old, can he show us a clip of what he says against terrorism? What he says to counter what he said then? If you look at this Buhari's government, the appointment he made, if you look closely, I mean, have a close search or study of them, you see that most of them are extremists. If you go back to their life, even Buhari himself, we knew what he said. So I think that he gathered those who have the same mindset with him to the government.
Okay.
Bantami was not young then. I don't know how he was not that young not to be reasonable then.
Right. Okay.
Bantami needs either to resign or be sacked, and after that be proved.
Okay.
He knows too much.
Okay.
I need to answer for.
All right. Thank you very much, Igozi. We appreciate that. Like I said, 8 o'clock, we're going beyond the surface and talking about that a bit more. Bantami must go, Bantami must stay. The hashtags of both on Twitter.
You know something? I read something, Ronke.
All right. Call in real quickly. Yes, go ahead. Okay. Yes. Oh, sorry. Let's take this. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Ronke.
Good morning. What's your name, please?
Ejiruka.
Oh, Barrister Ejiruka. Go ahead. 1 minute, please.
You see, one of the reasons why Nigeria is in this terrible morass is that we treat ringworm as leprosy, and we treat leprosy as ringworm. There is no reason on earth why Bantami should not be behind bars now. There's nothing about useful exuberance. That man is a religious fanatic. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
And like Chigozie said, there are many of them in this government. They are the one who gave the necessary support, both financial, moral, everything to Boko Haram when it started as a small fire. They are the one who blew the fire of Boko Haram from the small fire to become the wildfire it is today. So by now, it's not a question of who needs to resign. By now, he should be behind bars and be ready to be taken to court and prosecuted for Boko Haram-related activities.
Thank you, Barrister.
We should not be treating to us with levity.
All right. Thank you very much, Barrister. We appreciate it. Okay. Oh, I was going to take that real quickly, but unfortunately, let me just take this. Hello. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. Who's speaking, please?
My name is Shino.
Oh, hi, Shino. All the way from the UK. Good to have you here. Go ahead, Shino.
Thank you. Just briefly, Barrister was talking about, Plato was talking about the fact that the transport system can generate up to 2 billion. I totally agree with that. Also, Barrister was talking about the fact that the politicians are harming their militia and that there was thuggery and disruption of some congresses in APC. But he forgot to mention the fact that even the Oshobo Congress of PDP, our governor Seyi Makinde, was alleged to have masterminded and carried thugs, numbering about 200 buses, went there from Oyo State, filled with thugs. And we saw videos of how some thugs were talking about the fact that they were going to kill and they were looking for piracy. So nobody wholly passed. I am a fan of Seyi Makinde, but he should not just talk about APC, he should not just talk about some politicians. Let's talk about the fact that even the people that we are supporting, like Governor Seyi Makinde, is also harming politics, is also harming thugs. And that is why the transport system will never, ever gain much from Oyo State. We will never reap much from them because it is their militia, it is Seyi Makinde's militia that are doing the work there. He should look into that and address that situation. He seems to be a gentle governor by faith, and he's doing well in the area of administration. But in this aspect where people are actually lamenting, he should work on it. He's my governor. I love him so much, but he should work on that.
All right, thank you very much. I mean,
yes,
Nigerian politics and thugs are like white rice and stew.
We are not leaving anybody out of that.
All right.
Nobody is safe.
This final text here says this country is heading fast to economic collapse and disintegration if the government fails to tackle daily increase in the price of foodstuff and insecurity. On the Bantami, current regime will not remove him from fashion lawyer. All right, like I said, we'll talk about that a bit more at 8 o'clock. Join me then. Thank you, Plateau. Thank you, Barrister, for your time here.
You're most welcome.
I appreciate you being here. That's it on Straight from the Dailies. Join me at 8 o'clock. Sports Bang is next. I'm Ronke Giwa Onafuwa.
Splash FM 105.5.